Hello and welcome to the Soulful Mamas podcast. You're with your host Maria and welcome to today's episode. Today I have such an amazing guest to share with you. She is just divine, Chantal Kerlin. I'll tell you about her in a wee minute. Firstly, how are you doing? Truly, really, how are you right now? We're at the end of November and you can feel the energy of it's busyness. There's also excitedness, not even a word, brewing, and we can feel it. And for school, it's the winding down, but as they're winding down, they're winding up because they're finishing off things and they are getting through their end of year activities and trips and excursions. And then, of course, there's end of year celebrations and festivals or marketplaces or fairs or all different things that are going on, and it's all very exciting and wonderful, but also really important to, and amongst all of that, is to breathe. Drop your shoulders, take a breath, breathe. And you know what I call it, the sacred pause. Just take a sacred pause or 5 and drop into, okay, is this in alignment for me right now? Is this a sacred yes, a sacred no? And by that I mean with all of the events that are on offer, and there are many, and they're all fantastic, but they're not all for every one of us to do everything. So it's a chance to discern what works for you or you and your family for this year, and what might be for another year, or might be it's not in alignment. And it's okay, because to do everything on offer, you'd burn yourself out. And there has to be a variety of things because we're not all the same. So we get met in different ways, and that's good. But it's knowing this about yourself and what works for you and what works for your family. And if you haven't already, last week's episode was me talking about presence before Christmas and how to bring more presence into your world as you navigate this lead up to the holiday time. And whatever that looks like, whether you celebrate something or not, there's that feeling of completion, particularly if your children are in school, some kind of study, there's that completion. And even if you're in the Northern Hemisphere and it's not a completion of the school year, it's a completion of the calendar year, and those Christmas holidays are a transition point of a break. Children all have a holiday. So as we go into this time, it's important to drop into your own values and your own what feels good and right and true for you, your own family traditions that some of them would have carried on from your own childhood, from your partner's childhood perhaps, or they are completely different, exactly the same, I don't know, but you have to drop into it feels right for you in this time now to navigate or to participate in whatever that looks like. And what I do, and so I have shared this with you on that podcast episode, but also I've created a guide and I've broken it all down so it's really easy to read through and get some really good tips and ideas on how to actually put this into practice. So Advent for me and my family looks like the 4 Sundays leading up to Christmas is like a pause point, a sacred pause, if you like. And each of those Sundays, there is a appreciation of one of the 4 natural realms. So the first one, which is coming up this Sunday, is the mineral realm, the mineral kingdom, stones, crystals, bones, shells, the foundation of our earth, appreciation for that. The next Sunday is appreciation of the plant realm, the plant kingdom, and that is all that grows upon our foundation, that mineral kingdom. So all our trees, all our plants, all our flowers, all our herbs, all of that. And then the third Sunday is appreciation of the animal realm. So all of the animals, from the tiniest little ant to the largest whale in the deep ocean, and everything in between. And then that fourth Sunday before Christmas is the appreciation of our fellow humans. And that's at that time when we're often very busy and we get very caught up in what we've still got to do or haven't done, got to do, all of that. And it's just taking a pause to consider how it is for others. So we go beyond ourselves and look at those around us and maybe have a bit more empathy or compassion, why they're extra stressed or bit edgy, or there's something going on there. There's always a reason. There's always a reason behind everybody's behaviours, if you like, or the way they're expressing or presenting. And sometimes just a smile from a stranger can just shift the energy, can just change a person's day. So yeah, that's all in that episode and also in the guide that I created. Yeah, go and have a look. I'll put that link in the show notes so you can check it out if it's helpful. It has been helpful for many people I've worked with over the years. So if it resonates with you, then yeah, by all means, please do use this as well. And right, so today, back to Chantal. I think I'll just let her explain. I'll let you just listen to her beautiful story. It's so inspiring. It was so soul-filling. There was such a deep connection and a very, beyond. It felt like we weren't communicating via the Zoom. It was like we're in the same room together, and it was very felt. And I'm pretty sure the presence of her beautiful sailor rose was there because the energy was just so pure and just so heartwarming. Anyway, I will let you listen in because Chantal is a beautiful human and she has a very inspiring story to share with you. So without further ado, I bring to you the wonderful and beautiful Chantal Kerlin. Chantal, welcome to the Soulful Mamas podcast. So lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. I'm wondering if you can just share with us a little bit or a lot about your journey into motherhood and what that looked like.
Wow. Gosh, I have to go back like 16 years. So I am a mother of 5, and I believe I had my first boy when I was 27. So which was actually quite unexpected. My husband and I had only been together for I think 3 months before we 3 or 4 months, and then we were gifted our Mali, and so that propelled our relationship into a lot, as you can imagine. But we knew at the time that it was right, that we were meant to be together. We come from 2 parts of the world. He came from America, and I was New Zealand girl, born and raised. And although I'd spent a lot of time in America as a young woman traveling, I ended up meeting an American here in New Zealand. And we just connected. And after that, we had a little girl 3 years later, our Lucy. And then we had our beautiful Sailor Rose 3 years after that. And so that was unfortunately, that was when we experienced an accident with our daughter. Well, I don't like to call it an accident. We experienced losing her in a drowning event. And I guess back then, we were living in this old beach house in Takapuna. Gosh, I haven't gone back this far in a long time. My husband had opened up the Mexicali Fresh franchise. It's here in New Zealand. And so he was busy working. I was busy being mama, and we had this really great life. And life was, magical, really. It looked pretty picture perfect, although I was actually suffering at the time before her passing with a really, really, really severe PMDD. So that is a menstrual disorder. It's like PMS, but it's more on a severe case. So basically 2 weeks of every month, you're just in a very dark cloud of mood swings up and down, anger, rage. So I used to work out. I ran a fitness program for it was called Fit Mum, actually. So I was really into fitness, and I created the first CrossFit Fit Mum program. And that was kind of my release of how I was navigating the pain of my menstrual cycle, was by pushing and doing lots of weights and exercise. And my husband was working and trying to create this brand, so it was busy life. And assisted with antidepressants, which also helped with the moods. And it was actually a really dark time, even though it looked really pretty on the surface, our life. Everyone, oh my God, you're so pretty. Your family and your children are so beautiful. But below the surface, I was actually really suffering with this issue that back then, I remember talking to women in the gym going, oh yeah, all of us would just so casually talk about what antidepressant we were on, or what pill we would take to, oh, I'm on this antidepressant, or would go home and drink a lot of wine or whatever to numb out this pain. When I was a younger girl, I had in my early 20s, I experienced some trauma, sexual trauma, and little did I know that my womb had been screaming at me. And so after this experience with my daughter who passed away, like the screaming became a lot louder, and it was like everything got illuminated. And for the first few months, I was trying to navigate having two beautiful children, and then grieving a child that I lost, and navigating all these emotions, where the doctors back then, when I was dealing with grief, would just gave me more drugs, basically. And so my life was just kind of turned upside down and flipped up, upside down and spit out. And that's when I experienced a very profound awakening, actually, through the density of all that. And that's another long story into that, which I don't really want to go into all of that right now, but it was actually coming back to the wisdom of my womb and embodiment, and learning to listen to my body's whispers. And that was my, my pivotal point of, like, choice point of, do I choose life, or do I stay in this? It was, my grief and my daughter's legacy was what propelled me into where I am now. But it was from going and learning through all these experiences of just living and existing with pain. And so many of us do live in this world dealing with pain, dealing with prescription medicine as mothers. And I had two children, but then before she passed away. And it was difficult. It was difficult being, even being a stay-at-home mum, and finding joy in being a mother, and being joy just being able to exist and be full presence with my children. And until my beautiful Sailor Rose passed, was this pivotal awakening of coming back to myself, and remembering and learning what it is, the true essence of motherhood. And after she passed, I fell pregnant again 3 months after I had this crazy awakening, which was very, what would be the word? I don't know the word, but crazy, mystical. And then I found out I was pregnant again And I had to get off all the medication. I said to my husband, he's a big advocate into plant medicine. So he was medicating me with THC oil. That got me off all the drugs that I was on when I found out I was pregnant. And then I just started embodiment and meditating and spending all my time in nature and connecting back to self and working with a phenomenal body worker. And working through the shadows within the body and the density, I was able to connect back with myself and find myself again, I guess. And it was through, being pregnant that my beautiful son Sequoia, who came along, he was like my shining light, because I don't know if I would have survived back then. It was just so awful, losing a child in such a way. And the guilt and the shame, the deep shame that came with that experience, because there's grief and then there's shame and then there's guilt and then there's complete avoidance of life and not wanting to even get out of bed. So having to navigate, he was like my little light who came into the world, and it's like, I can do this. And so we had him, and whilst journeying through, it's been 7 years now of a long journey of healing. And then I had another child who came 3 years after Sequoia, so little Kaya Rose. And so I've had 5 children, and my devotion to motherhood now, and my devotion to the divine child, and I think really healing that deep mother wound within. And because before I had children, before I had my last 2, I found being a mother very difficult, actually. I found being present with my children very difficult. That it was always too much. It was like, oh, I've got the kids, and it was almost that service to self mentality of doing busyness, and wanting to do all the things, but not realizing what I had right in front of me. And I think that's to do with programming and how we've been, as mothers, have been programmed to lose that connection to our children, to get back to work straight away, have a career, busy, but it's those first years are so important. Like, I remember with my first child, my anxiety was so bad that I couldn't even sleep in the same bed with my daughter, because I had such bad anxiety. And I've had my last 2 children, I've had free births. Well, I chose not to have the midwife there, although I did have a midwife caring for me. And taking my power back to my birthing experiences and birthing my children at home has been the most profound thing. I've had my first child. I had to have a what do you call it? An epidural, because the birth was going very well, and then fear took over, and the baby got stuck. And the same with the second birth, was an emergency, nearly C-section, but wasn't quite there. So through this work of embodiment and learning to come back to myself, I learned how to listen to my body. I learned how to birth my children, holistically, which I don't think I would never have been able to do if I've had this experience. I don't know why this was I do know why, actually, but it comes into the work that I'm doing now, hold a full spectrum of understanding, and I hold space for people working through in any way, that I can meet them there, because I know those feelings of addiction. I know those feelings of wanting to end it all, and of moving through. So that was kind of my introduction to motherhood. So it kind of was amazing, beautiful, got dropped on my ass, rebirthed myself over and over, rebirthed again into I guess my purpose. So where there's pain, we can find purpose too, into the work that I'm doing.
Thank you for sharing that so openly, and vulnerably, yeah. It's very much, I can just sense that that birthing of the mother, that rebirthing of you, and taking your power back, because that mother wound is so deep, and it goes beyond, isn't it? Beyond lifetimes almost. Well, it would be. And to give voice to this, like what a gift your little Sailor Rose, gave to that crossroads, that point of shining your light in a different direction. And I can imagine she's just there beyond the veil, helping you shine that light. So you're bringing this as you're birthing yourself in you, but you're birthing it's permission for others to do the same. And isn't it interesting, when you're talking about at the gym and you're comparing what drugs or antidepressants, and it was just normalized. And that's how it is for so many people. It's just normalized. What are you having for dinner? Oh, what drugs are you taking? Oh, hi, good. Yeah, and we don't talk about it enough, because this is true of so many women, so many mothers, and you don't know a different way. Even something within you doesn't quite feel right, but who do you talk to about it? So this is why these conversations, and you being so courageous in sharing yours, so other people can, learn and grow, and permission to birth themselves in you as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's from these I feel like my phone's doing something. I feel like it's from everything I've journeyed through this, it's like I feel it's my purpose now. Is like that didn't happen for vain. That didn't happen just to all the things I've gone through and experienced just to keep that as a secret. It's like when the woman that I work with now, or the beings that come into my space, it's like when we don't know until we've got a guide to go, hey, this is how we can do it. There's another way here. This is something that's not taught. It's not mainstream. It's looked at as weird or like crazy, but it's become what I'm loving now. It's just becoming normal, and I know that it's going to be the norm. That will be norm. Sound, frequency is, and moving away from these pharmaceutical companies that are really just here to keep us sick. And I've learned so much from this experience. I've gone down so many rabbit holes and studied and opened up my mind. And it was like, not only was I opening up my body and my heart, but I was opening up my mind and realizing I was stuck in this little box. As a young girl, I was always super empathic and sensitive. Like I found, being in this reality very difficult. I would feel everyone's energy, and I would go into a room, but I thought it was me. I thought it was something wrong with me. I was highly sensitive and would worry about the world and everything. I was always worried. And what I love now is that I have a deeper understanding of that's not me. All these energies aren't mine to hold. That actually I can witness it and be with that for someone else, but I don't need to take that on anymore. And to be able to let go of all of that, of being raised with divorced parents and witnessing trauma as a little child or whatever I witnessed, that I was able to learn to let all of that go. Just was like my rebirth. Every time I could just grow. And it was like, open my mind, expand through. I always tell people, because I left school at 14, I didn't go to university, but for me, the universe is the university. Life is the university. It's like what we're doing, like stuff the certifications. I've done so many certifications, but it's like, it's the embodied knowing, it's the embodied truth. And when we can come embodied in these experiences, because there's so much information out there, but it's that divine knowing. And it's when and we can get out of our head into the heart, into the gut, into the womb, for men and women. We become to be stronger and have boundaries and not let the world program us anymore or manipulate and distort our divine essence of who we are and what we're here to do and be. And I have full body tingles saying that, because
Oh, have I?
it's,
Oh,
yeah, it's like, why?
mm,
And I think, and I work a lot with children now too, which I'll mention here, is my healing journey was probably, most of it was done in nature. We ended up selling our home in Waimaku, and we found this beautiful home in Muriwai. Like before this, you were sharing to me how the mountain called you. It was the same here. The land just called us here, and being our home is right in nature, in the forest. And I created before I started doing work with women, I worked with children, and that's where you met me in
mm,
the
yeah.
and the teen and the maiden circle in Spirit Fest. But I worked with children for years, and as I was working with the maiden energy, as I was working with these energies, I was healing my maiden. And for me, I look at all those little children who I've worked with, so many, that they were here to be like, I looked at them as they came into my life as they were my teachers. And that was like my initiation and rite of passage into holding the space I do now, was to work with the maiden, to work with, these different archetypes, and to embody that with me, and then to embody that divine mother and the dark mother, and coming to terms with where I had, I guess, that's when we journey into the dark mother, and healing, there's so much power in our darkness and our shadows, but healing those distortions has been the pivotal of change, to be able to embody my medicine woman and bring my work through. So I work with children here now once a week. I have I think a group of 7 children. We just go bush, we go wild. And
Yeah.
it's been nature that's been my biggest teacher and healing. And we found this land, and it had a yurt, and it was like everything aligned for us to do what we're doing. Can't remember how I started talking about that, just kind of morphed into something else.
Oh, it's beautiful though. It is so beautiful. It's just embodying the divine in all, and permission to let it guide you to where it's going to guide you to. And here you are in this beautiful whenua in Muriwai,
The
working with,
innocence, it was the children who led me here. It
yeah,
really was. And to be able to hold that sacred innocence and that divine child within beings I work with too, is so important to me.
yes.
Because I was that lost. Many of us empathic children, I can feel you, um, who can feel and sense everything in the world. And it's, for me, it's creating a space saying, hey, what you're feeling is valid and it's okay.
Yeah.
And that's been really, really beautiful. Now I can, I have a few children that I work with, and it's just so nice knowing that they can be met, and that what they're sensing and feeling is real.
Yes.
When I've always been very right-brained since I was little, but growing up in this world, that wasn't acceptable. It was, oh, you're going into la la land, that's fairy world. It's like, actually, no.
Yeah, they're real. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And all of that has
Yeah.
come from the experience of, my initiation of child death, and
Mm.
navigate that. And she is, and I know now, doing a lot of past life work, multidimensional work, that I have experienced this kind of looping of child death in many lifetimes. So it was like, this was the lifetime to come back and really bring deep healing through my maternal lines and my mother lines of this deep, deep, deep grief for not only my family, but my bloodlines, but also collectively, to be able to
Yeah.
hold that pole that po of we're not here to suffer anymore, and just, you know, the suffering comes because of all these unhealed, you know, woundings. We continue to suffer and come through and experience the suffering, but it's like we heal this for our daughters, it stops. More goosebumps.
More goosebumps. I love everything you're saying. It resonates so deeply, and that's exactly. It was my daughter that I also wanted to completely rewrite the story. It has to stop. It has to. Her experience is going to be different. I don't want her to continue the same patterns and the same ways of generations gone by. And you have to. It's a lot of work, inner work, and to be brave enough and to find your voice, isn't it? Just to actually let the words come out and it be expressed.
Devotion is what I get. And like before I started doing this work, I spoke like this. Like I had a really soft voice. I spoke from up here my whole life. And it was like, then I opened and I found my womb and moved that rage and that grief that had been so locked, and shut down for generations and generations of my ancestry, that I could allow that to move through my body. And it's giving me I've just got all this and lots of emotion just come through, like beautiful emotion and great honor and great responsibility for the women who are awakening, so many of us now. It's hearing the call and being the black sheep of the family, being the one who's going to change things. It's not easy.
It's not easy. And this is why these connections, Creator somehow places us to we're our own little beacons of light, but then there's a knowing of we need to come together as well. And even we were sharing before the recording started, just the two of us connecting, it was just a very random divine timing moment that happened. And it didn't, well, it's not that it didn't make sense. It makes sense, definitely. But it's just, sometimes we just have to surrender. Well, a lot of the times surrender so much more and just let life flow and unfold as it's going to. And we can be resistant and block and start, want to control it or not. And
so much of that's been coming out for me lately as being this place of allow, receive, allow, trust. Instead of getting into the mind, it's like the moment I start thinking about something too much, then that's probably a no. But it's like that action, it's like knowing, that divine knowing, go with it. Go with that sense of knowing is what's I'm finding my internal navigation system, rather than getting out of the mental. My dear friend calls it mental masturbation. The mind fuckery. We can just continue talking our way through it, and then it just goes blah. It's like, what on earth? Yeah. And that feels like where we're at now is really that deep healing and knowing of bringing through that divine feminine energy, which she is the waters of the flow, of the allowing the currents to flow, but having that I love working with the elements of fire and water, but having that burning fire passion that drives, but containing that fire, containing the fires, holding fires, not letting them burn away or annihilate or take people out, because I think as a woman we can do that. So I always sensing where there's this imbalance, and it's like coming back into that beautiful balance of deep inner trust with that feminine flow of the sacred innocence and the sacred waters of life.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think there's feel like water in itself as a being has a louder voice right now, more than ever right now. And you're probably familiar with the work of Veda Austin, and she's now on almost a world stage advocating for water and giving water an actual human voice. So that message is, further out there. It's amazing. So yeah, the medicine of the water is really, so potent. But yeah, it feels like water itself is giving itself a place at the table.
The consciousness, and it's so here right now. And I recently have been, within my work, I was really gifted this insight into connecting to the water consciousness in my work, and into our, like, there's the divine mother, into the mother's womb, into the sacred waters. And it's been so beautiful feeling those crystalline waters come through in the work that I do. And I actually was just on a beautiful retreat a few weeks ago, and I was with a woman who works very closely with Veda, and it was the second time, because I wasn't really familiar with her work. And then there was another woman a few weeks later and I'm like, this is so strange, this woman keeps coming into my life. And so there's definitely something that I want to continue exploring within that space and learning more about. But we already know, don't we? It's like it's just knowing and remembering that, which is the waters, and where our waters have been poisoned. I mean, if we're what 70%, what is it, 90%?
Yeah, just over 70. Yeah,
and you see those things where water changes, and it's like, if we've got all this negativity within our body, how poisoned are our waters, our own sacred waters? And it's just profound, bringing that cleanse back into our own waters, and healing. Yeah.
And that's, I guess, as a collective, that's the journey we're on right now, isn't it? Is that healing journey, and working with and understanding that healing power of water. When we can, I do a lot of work like this as well, and just getting people just to even hold the cup of water that they're drinking and just having gratitude, so a blessing, and just seeing it more than just it is us. It's a interconnected, everything's related, and including water, especially water.
I'll never forget when I was going through my awakening experience. It was like heightened consciousness that took over me. It was profound. But I remember going to the beach and seeing it completely like magical glistening. It was like phosphorus. And I remember being in the water, like I was a bit of a mess, but I was like, oh my God, can you see? And my husband was like, what is she on now? What have you taken? I'm like, no, look everywhere. And I'll never forget, it was like I could see through the density, which is the planet Earth, through our own density, I guess, within the body, which doesn't allow us to see the beauty as much as the beauty. But when we start evolving and awakening, we can see those gems, right? We can remember the magic and everything.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's when you're in those spaces, I mean, you're in a space of complete openness and vulnerability in your grief, which allowed you to see beyond the veil, I guess, a little bit more. But even without having to have that experience, just allowing yourself to be. I mean, we've got a stream that runs through our property, and anytime I feel like I'm a little bit out of balance or get in the busy mode, I take myself down there and, permission to be still and be. And then I see those little water sprites, like you're saying, they're bouncing around, and they're just reminding me of the magic and what are you doing? Stop rushing. Just look at the magic, be in the magic. Yeah. So powerful. So Chantal, I wonder, the work that you do sounds so magical with women. Tell us a bit more about that and how people can find out how to find you and work with you.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. So I don't really have a lot of words, what I do. It's like hard to put into words. It just kind of happens. I incorporate womb womb therapy, so massage, so with sound, breath, um, intuitive guidance, inner journeying, light language. I bring through drums, sound, and I just really work intuitively. So just moving with the body, moving with the energies that are alive. And it's just really a beautiful place to be able to drop into the body, open, receive the beautiful crystalline energies, if that's what's wanting to come through, or maybe it's a space where you're needing to let go. So it's allowing the energies to move. And often, beings who are first starting this journey into embodiment, having a guide, or maybe it's very painful what you've been holding on to, and you don't know how to meet that, how to feel that. Maybe there's a lot of shame around that. So I hold a very nurturing space to be able to journey into the energies in the body that I guess are ready to have a voice, love, and to be let go, and to allow those energies to be our compost. So it's not about discarding it, but integrating it all, allowing our shame to be our voice, allowing our experiences to become our passion. And yeah, so I work very intuitively with my work. And I also have just started working remotely, so I'll tune into the energetic field and work in that way as well. But I always prefer hands-on. And I yeah, that's what I do here in Muriwai, and I have a beautiful little yurt space. It's my little witchy room. I call it my red tent.
Beautiful.
And yeah, and it's deeply held here in nature, held by the beautiful nikau plants everywhere, and pahutakawas, and the beautiful ancient pahutakawas here in the land, and the moana, which is so close. And I like to really work with those elements of the fire, and all the elements really. So it's kind of a mixture of, yeah, and I've just recently started working with men too, which has been really profound.
Yeah.
And I'm loving that space. I've had to do a lot of my own internal healing with the masculine energy, and working in those fields, but really embodying, holding our sacred, the divine masculine. These are beautiful men who are, what I find so profound about working with men is how much they just love, a yearning to be just nurtured, and that actually they don't like the "Ah." It's like the gentleness, and that's the gentleness that I notice they'll start to open.
Yeah.
Because that fire energy can be quite a lot, especially for men who are navigating deep wounds or mother wounds. And yeah, so much I could talk about that for a long time. But I'm really feeling guided to hold that space now, but which is really beautiful.
Wow. That's such a gift, and it's such a necessary space that uh, hasn't been explored as
Mm,
much yet. And so
mm.
that's
Well, yeah, yeah, and it's been a journey for me to be able to meet that within myself, to be able to hold that for men. And men have a etheric womb. Men were created in the womb. Men hold so much in their guts,
yeah.
and their inner knowing, and where men have given so much as women, but of their power away, of being in almost sacrificial slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Just work in the busyness and the mental mind, learning to come back into the body, which is very difficult for men. But I find frequency and sound and touch really helps men to come
Yeah.
in to the body. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I agree with the sound. I just,
Mm,
oh, all the different sound journeys, not that I don't offer sound, but I love it.
Mm,
But my husband, that is the one thing that it just speaks to his soul directly.
mm,
Anytime we've done any sound journey, sound bath, sound gong concert, whatever it is, he's always there. He, it really just speaks to him on and his journeys are profound.
mm,
I mean, amazing. And mm, yeah. And I can see with the other men that attend, it's different,
mm.
but it's at cellular level.
Yeah.
There's a remembering almost.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for even allowing yourself, expanding yourself to even offer that. So, mm,
Yeah, it's been big, but it's definitely been big, but feel so needed, and I really enjoy it. I enjoy
yeah.
working with the masculine, although they're
Mm.
much harder to get into the bodies, but with the right tools.
Yeah,
And
you've got
yeah.
a huge kitty now of toolkit
Yeah,
of like, okay, let's try this one.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, and then I run Wild Roots Adventures, so it's a 1-day nature school program out here, which is really fills my cup.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So do your children attend? Are they
they
with you?
do.
Yeah.
Yes, so my 3-year-old and 6-year-old come every week, and my 13-year-old comes sometimes.
Mm.
Um, she's at school, loves school. I wanted to homeschool her, but she had a big no. She just loves school, but having her come and have this one break in nature and just dropping in, she absolutely just thrives. And then my 16-year-old used to come and like help me. He doesn't so much
Mm.
anymore, but last year he was helping me a lot. But what I love about it is just giving, not only am I doing it for other children, but it's for my children, and
Yeah.
it's that time with them because I just drop into a little kid. I'm just a like really just a goofy person. And just to be in that energy of play
Yeah.
and just very child-led exploration and adventure, which was how I was raised as a little girl on the farm. My father was from the islands, from raised in the Pacifica and Fiji, and so that was how I was raised, very free range, very much in the dirt. And yeah, I've been doing a lot of remember my connection back to Papa Tunuku, back to the earth, and remembering that, it's like,
Mm.
gosh, people talk about climate change and all this shit, and I'm like, get the children in the earth, and she will talk to them.
Yeah. Oh, it's a whole nother topic, but yeah, I hear you. If
Yeah,
only that
yeah.
connection and that
Mhm,
relationship with our beautiful Papatuanuku, our Mother Earth,
mhm,
Gaia,
mhm,
all the names she goes by, if
mm.
that connection and relationship and knowing that she is our mother and gives us that opportunity to even have this life on this earth, if
I
that
know,
connection with her was there and it was just part of the, curriculum, the world would look different.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
It's
wouldn't be
coming.
that hard, really, would it?
Not
It
that
is
hard.
coming.
It's
It's
coming.
all pretty simple once we, expand the mind and remember. It's just all being made to sound more complicated than it all is. It's actually all very
Yeah.
simple, stuff. But there's been a lot of witchery that's distorted
Yeah.
those belief systems, I believe.
Absolutely. But that's why I feel like it's exciting that water has a voice now, flowing through our mother. So
Yeah.
it's like she's speaking up in
Yeah.
her ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just a matter of really tuning in and listening and hearing
Mhm.
that message, and the ones that do, um, instead of holding it within or being too scared or shamed or whatever to speak it, we actually speak it
Mm.
and share it. Yeah.
Yes, and it's time now. And so thank you for creating these platforms so that we do have a voice. So
Yeah. Yeah.
honoring you for that. Mm.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. And so you've kind of, I can tell what you're probably going to say, but for you yourself, what do you do to keep your soul full?
Oh. Yeah, it's being outside with the children,
Yeah.
like actually just brings tears to my eyes. I don't do that. Business isn't like is not it's pretty non-profit, but it's like that fills me and brings me joy, bringing that to the children, and that just fills my soul. Um, is connecting children back to nature. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, you've got
yeah,
full goosebumps there too. I can feel
yeah.
it and I can just see it on all, you're glowing. It's like you're fully,
I know
yeah.
there's been a lot of energy moved through in this
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. And even, you're saying the online work, you prefer
Mm,
in person, which I do as well. But the
yeah,
online,
it's yeah,
it's good. It serves its purpose. But
yeah,
even like when we first started and you could sense the energy where I was here,
yes,
we're miles apart,
yeah,
but that's just an indication of how easily you can
yeah,
still tune in
yes, yeah,
that
yeah,
place and space. So
yes. And it's a practice, and it's been a practice for me for a long time, and to be able to have the confidence now to open that. Oh my
yeah,
gosh, it took me a while. I was like, oh my god, what if I get frozen again? It was stepping out of the mental mind and allowing,
yeah,
um it's just all so much about that, isn't it? Just trusting. But I do love it. I do love um remotely. Like I'm loving this right now. It is really beautiful. So maybe I need
yeah.
to change that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
once you get, I'm the
yeah,
same, but once
yeah.
you start, it feels
Mm,
the barriers you don't
yeah,
even feel them or know them,
yeah.
know they're there. So,
It's
um,
energy. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So, yeah, uh, I could talk to you for hours. I'm sure we'll do this again sometime, but I really
Absolutely.
appreciate your time and the work that you're doing and honoring your journey and how, uh, just how potent your message is and your magic and your wisdom and, um, this lifetime, it changes. And, blessings to your Sailor Rose for being a catalyst for that and, yeah, honoring her as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm crying. Thank you,
Um,
beautiful woman.
Wow. Beautiful conversation, hey? Chantal is truly an absolute gem. And yeah, I hope you all received something in that conversation. And, it might be one you need to go back and listen to again because there's so many little pearls in there. And I know even for myself, I always listen to these again, obviously, before I publish the episode, but it was just, oh, this is so good. I got something each time out of it. So, yeah, it really resonated and aligned. So, hopefully, there's something in there for you as well. Many, many little takeaways, and here are a few just to ponder on. Number one, the importance of coming back to the wisdom of your womb. Two, remembering and relearning the true essence of motherhood. And number three, the power of our shadows and the gift and the message that they can bring, the learning from that. And number four, nature is our biggest teacher, which I 100% agree with. So many, many pearls in there. Do enjoy. Thank you so much, Chantal. Thank you so much for each of you for listening. Yeah, I don't take your listening ears coming in and tuning in each week lightly. I appreciate your time and energy, and yeah, thank you. All the links will be below in the show notes of how to get in touch with Chantal. Do go and have a look in her world. It's amazing. Wild Roots, the group the nature school she has with children, and then also the work that she does, Midwife of the Soul, the work she does with women and men, holding that sacred space for other people. Really, really beautiful. So go check her out and explore her world, and yeah, you won't regret it. Thank you, everybody. And also remember, presents before Christmas, the last week's episode, but also the guide that is free. You just have to click below and you'll get a actual copy of all those things I was talking about. So again, if that aligns, go and have a wee look. And of course, do subscribe if you haven't already. Share with a friend if you think it may align for them. And most importantly, have a soul-filling week ahead. Thank you. Bye.